stood in front of the massive metal doors and checked his tablet one more time. The screen clearly said Building 7, Beast Division Training Center. He looked up at the building. It was huge. The walls were made of dark steel and the entrance was at least 4 meters tall. Everything about this place felt wrong. He was supposed to join the engineering corps. He had spent 3 years studying starship systems and computer networks. He was good with machines. He was not good with fighting. He was not good with anything physical. He was thin, short, and wore glasses that kept sliding down his nose. But the transfer orders on his tablet said Beast Division. There must have been a mistake somewhere. The doors opened with a loud hiss, took a deep breath and walked inside. The first thing he noticed was the smell. It was strong and wild, like the inside of a forest after rain. The second thing he noticed was the size of everyone around him. They were all huge. They were all covered in fur. They were all wolves. They were one of the most feared warrior species in the galaxy. They looked like wolves that had learned to walk on 2 legs. They stood over 2 meters tall. Their muscles bulged under their fur. Their teeth were sharp enough to bite through metal. They had been fighting wars for thousands of years before humans even learned to make fire, and was supposed to train with them. A massive gray wolf stepped in front of him. The wolf looked down at the small human with golden eyes. His fur was dark and his shoulders were wider than a doorway. "You are lost," the wolf said. His voice was deep like thunder. "I am supposed to be here," said. He held up his tablet with shaking hands. "See, transfer orders, Beast Division." The wolf took the tablet. He stared at it for a long time. Then he made a sound that might have been a laugh. "There is a mistake," the wolf said. "Yes, I think so too," said quickly. "I should go to the engineering corps. Can you tell me where?" "No," the wolf interrupted. "Once orders are filed, they cannot be changed for 6 months. You are stuck here, little human." Felt his heart drop into his stomach. The wolf handed back the tablet. "I am Commander. I run this training program. You will call me sir. You will follow orders. You will try not to die." He paused. "Though I do not think you will last more than 1 day." Commander turned and walked away, had no choice but to follow. The training center was built like a small city. There were barracks for sleeping, halls for eating, and open grounds for fighting. Everywhere looked, he saw wolves. They were wrestling. They were running. They were lifting weights that looked heavier than cars. They were doing everything that was terrible at. The other recruits stared at him as he passed. Some of them laughed. Some of them growled. None of them looked friendly. Commander stopped in front of the main barracks. "You will sleep here. Training starts at dawn. Do not be late." Then he left. Stood alone in front of the building. He had never felt so small in his entire life. He walked inside and found an empty bed in the corner. The beds were huge, made for creatures twice his size. He climbed onto the mattress and sat with his legs hanging over the edge. His feet did not even touch the floor. The other recruits ignored him at first. They talked among themselves in deep voices. They made jokes that did not understand. They arm wrestled and play fought like puppies, except these puppies could crush bones with their bare hands. Then one of them noticed him. The wolf was young, with reddish fur and a mean look in his eyes. He walked over to his bed and stood there with his arms crossed. "What is this?" the wolf asked loudly. "Did someone bring a snack?" The other wolves laughed. Pushed his glasses up his nose. "I'm a recruit, same as you." "Same as me." The red wolf leaned closer. His breath was hot and smelled like meat. "You think we are the same? I could eat you in 1 bite, little human." "That would be against regulations," said. His voice was steady even though his hands were shaking. "I read the manual on the way here. No eating fellow recruits. Page 47. The red wolf blinked. He had not expected that answer. Some of the other wolves laughed again, but this time they were laughing at the red wolf. "You think you are clever," the red wolf growled. "I think I can read," said. The red wolf raised his fist. closed his eyes and waited for pain. But the pain never came. Enough. The voice was female and sharp like a blade, opened his eyes. A wolf stood in the doorway, but she was different from the others. Her fur was silver-white, rare and beautiful. Her eyes were the color of winter ice. She wore armor that marked her as someone important, very important. "Princess," one of the wolves whispered. The red wolf stepped back immediately. He lowered his head and tucked his tail between his legs. Princess walked into the room. Every wolf moved out of her way. She stopped in front of his bed and looked at him with curious eyes. "You are the human," she said, "the one who joined by mistake." "Yes," said, "that is me." "Why did you not run away?" Thought about the question. "Where would I go? The orders say I must be here. I cannot change them, so I will stay." Princess tilted her head. Her ears twitched slightly. "You are either very brave or very stupid." "Probably stupid," admitted. The princess made a sound. It was almost like a laugh. "At least you are honest." She turned to face the other wolves. "This human is now under my observation. If anyone hurts him without permission, they will answer to me." The wolves all nodded quickly. Princess looked at one more time. There was something strange in her eyes, something could not read. Then she turned and walked away. The room was silent for a long moment. Lay back on his huge bed and stared at the ceiling. He had no idea what had just happened. He had no idea why a princess would protect him. He had no idea how he would survive tomorrow. But he was still alive, and sometimes that was enough. The sun had not even risen when the alarm started screaming, fell out of his bed and hit the floor hard. Around him, the wolves were already on their feet, moving with military speed. He scrambled up and tried to follow them outside. His legs were much shorter than theirs. By the time he reached the training ground, everyone else was already standing in neat lines. Commander stood at the front with his arms behind his back. His golden eyes swept over the recruits. When they landed on, they stayed there for an extra moment. "Today we begin survival training," the commander announced. "You will be dropped in the Blackwood Forest. You must find water, you must find food, you must find your way back to base. You have 3 days." Some of the wolves growled with excitement. This was what they were born for. "Veldsik. You will go in groups of 5, Commander continued. "The last group to return will clean the toilets for 1 month." Now all the wolves looked worried. Understood. Wolf noses were very sensitive. Cleaning toilets would be torture for them. The groups were assigned randomly by computer. Ended up with 4 wolves he did not know. They were all bigger than him. They were all faster than him. They all looked unhappy to have him on their team. The red wolf from yesterday was in a different group. He looked at and made a cutting motion across his throat, pretended not to see. Transport ships carried each group to different parts of the forest. His group landed in a valley surrounded by tall black trees. The trees had no leaves. Their branches looked like skeleton fingers reaching for the sky. As soon as they landed, the biggest wolf in the group took charge. His name was. He had brown fur and a scar across his face. "Listen here," said. "We are not going to lose because of the human, so this is what we will do. We will move fast. We will hunt. We will find water. The human will follow or he will be left behind." The other wolves nodded. "Wait," said, "can I make a suggestion?" "No," said. He started walking into the forest. The others followed. Ran after them. His short legs had to work twice as hard to keep up. Within an hour he was breathing heavily. Within 2 hours he was falling behind. By noon he could barely see the wolves ahead of him. He stopped and sat on a rock. His legs were burning, his chest hurt. He pushed up his glasses and looked around. The forest was silent. No birds, no insects, nothing but black trees and gray sky. Then he heard running water. Stood up and followed the sound. It led him down a small hill to a stream. The water was clear and cold. He knelt down and drank deeply. When he looked up, the wolves were gone. He was alone. Most people would panic. Did not panic. He was scared, yes, but panic would not help him. He needed to think. He pulled out his tablet. It still had some charge. The map function showed his location and the location of the base. It was 40 kilometers away. Walking would take at least 2 days, maybe 3 for someone with his short legs. But walking was not the only option. Looked at the stream. Water always flowed downhill. Water always found the easiest path. If he followed the stream, he would not get lost. And maybe, just maybe, the stream would lead somewhere useful. He started walking along the bank. As he walked, he looked for things that might help. He found long vines hanging from trees. He found sharp rocks. He found a plant with thick leaves that he recognized from his botany classes. The leaves could hold water. By evening, he had built a simple camp. He used the vines to tie branches together for a shelter. He used the leaves to collect water. He found small insects under rocks and ate them raw. They tasted terrible, but they gave him energy. He did not sleep much that night. The forest was cold and full of strange sounds, but he survived. The next morning, he continued following the stream. Around noon, he found something surprising. The stream led to a small lake, and beside the lake was an old emergency beacon. It was covered in rust and vines, but recognized it immediately. Emergency beacons were placed all over the forest years ago. They were meant for lost travelers. Most of them were broken now, but maybe, just maybe, this one could be fixed. Opened the panel on the side. The wires inside were a mess. Corrosion had eaten through half of them. The battery was dead. But was an engineer. He worked for hours. He used the sharp rocks to strip wires. He used the water and leaves to clean corrosion. He connected things that should not be connected. He did things that would make his professors scream. Finally, the beacon flickered to life. He pressed the emergency button. A light flashed. Then the beacon died again. But it had sent a signal. He was sure of it. Sat down and waited. 2 hours later, a transport ship appeared in the sky. It landed beside the lake and Commander stepped out. He looked at the broken beacon. He looked back at. "You fixed this?" the Commander asked. "Mostly," said. "It only worked for 1 second." 1 second was enough. Commander's ears twitched. "Your group returned last night. They said you fell behind and got lost. They did not look for you." "I figured they would not." "You are not angry." Shrugged. "Being angry will not change anything." Commander stared at him for a long moment. Then he made that sound again, the one that might have been a laugh. "Get on the ship," he said. "You passed the test." "What? But I did not find my way back to base." "The test is not about reaching the base," Commander said. "The test is about survival. You survived. You found water. You found food. You even found a way to call for help. Most wolves would just try to run back. You used your brain." Climbed onto the ship. He was too tired to feel proud. When they returned to base, the other recruits stared at him. They had heard the story. The small human had survived alone in the forest. He had fixed an ancient beacon with rocks and leaves. It sounded like a joke, but it was true. Princess was waiting at the landing pad. She watched as stepped off the ship. Her ice-blue eyes followed him as he walked past. "Clever," she said softly. It was just loud enough for him to hear. Kept walking, but he could not stop the small smile that appeared on his face. That night something strange happened. Was sitting alone in the food hall, eating his dinner. The wolves usually avoided him, but tonight a group of them walked over and sat down at his table. Was there the wolf who had abandoned him? He looked uncomfortable. "We wanted to say something," muttered. "You do not have to apologize," said. "We are not apologizing," crossed his arms. "We wanted to say that what you did was impressive for a human." "Thank you, I think." The wolves nodded awkwardly. Then they left. Finished his dinner alone. but somehow the food tasted a little better than before. From the shadows of the hallway, Princess watched, and she was not the only one watching. Two other figures stood in different corners of the base, their eyes also fixed on the small human who had refused to give up. Princess tapped her claws against the wall thoughtfully. Princess clutched a broken device in her hands, the one that had fixed for her yesterday without even being asked. The competition had not started yet, but it was about to begin. 2 weeks passed, did not get stronger. His arms were still thin, his legs were still short. He still could not run as fast as the wolves or fight as well as them, but he was surviving. He survived by being useful in other ways. When the combat training equipment broke, fixed it. When the communication systems had problems, solved them. When wolves struggled to understand the tactical maps on their tablets, taught them. Slowly, the other recruits stopped seeing him as a joke. They still did not respect him, but they tolerated him. Princess visited the training grounds every few days. She said she was inspecting the recruits, but everyone noticed that she spent most of her time watching the human. She would stand near the fence with her arms crossed. Her silver-white fur glowed in the sunlight. Her ice-blue eyes never left as he worked or trained or struggled to keep up with the others. Tried to ignore her. It was not easy. She was beautiful in a wild, dangerous way, and she was a princess. People like her did not notice people like him. One afternoon was trying to lift weights in the training hall. The smallest weights in the room were still too heavy for him. He could barely lift them above his chest. His arms shook. Sweat ran down his face. He was pathetic and he knew it. A red-furred wolf walked over. It was the same one from his first day, the one who had called him a snack. His name was. "Still weak," said with a mean smile. "You should just quit, human. Go back to your machines and computers. This place is not for you." Lowered the weights carefully. "I cannot quit. The transfer orders say I must stay for 6 months. So break your own leg, fake an illness. There are ways." "I do not want to cheat." Laughed, "You are a fool." He reached down and grabbed by the collar. He lifted him off the ground like he weighed nothing. His feet kicked in the air. "Maybe I should break something for you," said. "Help you out." "Put him down." The voice was female but different from Princess. This voice was deeper, rougher, like stones rubbing together. Turned his head. His face went pale under his fur. Another wolf princess stood in the doorway. Her fur was dark black, almost blue in the light. Her eyes were golden like the sun. She was taller than and more muscular. She looked like she had been built for war. "Princess," whispered. He dropped immediately. Hit the ground hard. He gasped for breath and tried to stand up. Princess walked across the training hall. Every step she took was heavy and powerful. She stopped in front of and looked down at him. Even though they were the same species, she was bigger. "I saw what you did," she said. "I saw you bully someone weaker than you. He is just a human. He is a recruit, same as you." His voice dropped lower. "Are you saying that you are so weak that you can only feel strong by attacking humans?" His ears flattened against his head. "No, Princess. I am sorry, Princess." "Do not apologize to me. Apologize to him." Turn 2, his face twisted like he was swallowing something bitter. "I am sorry." Nodded slowly. "It is fine." "Get out," said 2. Ran, he actually ran. Had never seen a wolf run away before. Princess looked at. Her golden eyes studied him from head to toe. He felt like a small animal being examined by a predator. "You are the human everyone is talking about," she said. "I guess so. You survived the forest, you fix things, you do not give up." She tilted her head. "Why?" Thought about the question. "Because giving up means I lose, and I do not like losing." Made a sound in her throat. It was almost like a purr. "Good answer." She turned and walked toward the door. Then she stopped and looked over her shoulder. "Train harder," she said. "I want to see what you become." Then she left. stood alone in the training hall. His heart was beating fast, and he was not sure why. That evening, he was in the repair shop working on broken communication devices. He liked this place. It was quiet. It smelled like oil and metal instead of fur and meat. Here, he could use his real skills. He was so focused on his work that he did not hear anyone enter. A soft voice made him jump. "Can you fix this?" Spun around. A third wolf stood behind him. She was smaller than and with fur the color of autumn leaves, orange and gold mixed together. Her eyes were green like forest moss. She looked young, maybe the same age as. She was holding a small device in her hands. It looked like a music player. "Princess," said. He recognized her from the reports he had read. She was the youngest princess, the quiet one. She rarely appeared in public. "You know my name," she said softly. "I read a lot." Looked at the floor. She seemed shy, which was strange for a wolf. Wolves were usually loud and confident. "This was my mother's," she said, holding up the device. "She gave it to me before she died. It stopped working last year. The royal engineers cannot fix it. They say the technology is too old." Took the device carefully. It was beautiful, made of silver metal with small gems embedded in the surface. He opened the back panel and looked inside. "The power cell is dead," he said, "and some of the circuits are damaged, but I think I can fix it." His eyes widened. "Really?" "It will take time, maybe a few days." "I do not care how long it takes." Her voice was urgent. "Please, it has recordings of her voice. I have not heard her voice in so long." Looked at her. He saw the pain in her green eyes. He understood that kind of pain. "I will fix it," he said. "I promise." Smiled. It was a small smile, barely visible, but it changed her whole face. She looked beautiful when she smiled. "Thank you," she whispered. She turned and hurried out of the repair shop, watched her go. For the next 3 days, he worked on the device whenever he had free time. He searched for old parts. He rebuilt the power cell from scratch. He repaired every broken circuit with steady hands and patient focus. On the third night, the device hummed to life. A voice came from the speaker. It was soft and warm, singing a lullaby in the wolf language. Did not understand the words, but he understood the love in them. He found Princess in the garden behind the barracks. She was sitting alone, looking at the stars. "It is fixed," he said. He handed her the device. She pressed play with trembling fingers. Her mother's voice filled the air. Tears ran down his face. She did not wipe them away. She just sat there, listening, crying, smiling all at the same time. "Thank you," she said. Her voice was thick with emotion. "Thank you so much." Sat down beside her. Not too close, just close enough. "You are welcome," he said. They sat together in the garden until the recording ended, then played it again, and again, and again. From different windows overlooking the garden, 2 other princesses watched. Princess Ice Blue eyes narrowed. Princess Golden eyes glowed in the darkness. The quiet human had done something remarkable. He had made the coldest sister cry. He had no idea what this meant, but the 3 princesses knew. They knew that something had changed. The competition was no longer just an idea. It was real now. And was standing in the middle of it, completely unaware of the storm that was coming his way. The announcement came on a bright morning. Commander called all recruits to the main hall. The princesses were there too, standing in a line behind their father. The Wolf Emperor was massive. He was the biggest wolf had ever seen. His fur was pure white like snow, and his eyes were deep red like blood. When he spoke, his voice shook the walls. "My daughters have reached the age of mating," the emperor said. "By our traditions, they must choose their partners before the next moon rises. This is the law of our people." Stood in the back of the crowd with the other recruits. He did not understand why he had to be here. This was wolf business. He was just a human. The emperor continued. "Each princess will announce her choice before the court. The chosen males will then compete in trials to prove their worth. The winners will become part of the royal family. The wolves around growled with excitement. Being chosen by a princess meant power, wealth, and status. Every young wolf dreamed of this chance. "Princess," the emperor said, "you are the eldest, speak your choice." Princess stepped forward. Her silver-white fur gleamed under the lights. She held her head high with pride. "I choose the human," she said clearly. The room went silent. Felt every eye turned toward him. His face went hot. His heart stopped beating for a moment. "What?" he whispered. The emperor's red eyes narrowed. "You choose a human, explain yourself." "He is clever," said. "He survived the forest using only his brain. He fixed machines that our best engineers could not repair. He does not give up, even when everyone expects him to fail. I find these qualities attractive." The wolves began to murmur. Some looked angry, some looked confused, some looked like they wanted to laugh. The emperor raised his hand for silence. "Very well, princess, speak your choice." Princess stepped forward. Her black fur absorbed the light. Her golden eyes burned like fire. "I also choose the human," she said. The murmuring became shouting. Wolves yelled in protest. This was impossible. This was madness. A human, chosen by two princesses. Felt dizzy. He grabbed the shoulder of the wolf next to him to stay standing. The wolf did not even notice. The emperor's face was like stone. "Explain yourself." "He is strong in a way our people do not understand," said. "I watched him get knocked down 100 times. He always stood back up. I watched bigger wolves try to break him. He never broke. This kind of strength is rare. I want it for myself." The shouting continued. Commander had to roar for silence. "Princess," the emperor said slowly. His voice was dangerous now. "Speak your choice." Princess stepped forward. She was shaking slightly. Her autumn-colored fur bristled with nervousness. She looked at the floor, then at the ceiling, then finally at her father. "I choose the human too," she said quietly. The hall exploded. Wolves howled with rage. Some threw objects. Some tried to rush toward but were held back by guards. The noise was deafening. Could not move. He could not think. He could barely breathe. All three princesses had chosen him. Him, the skinny human nerd who had joined by mistake, the weakest person in the entire division. The emperor slammed his fist against the wall. The sound cut through the chaos like a knife. Everyone went silent. "Enough," the emperor said. His voice was cold and hard. "This is unprecedented, but our laws are clear. If the princesses have made their choice, they have made their choice." He looked at. Those blood-red eyes seemed to pierce right through him. "Human, come forward." His legs did not want to move. He forced them to work. Step by step, he walked through the crowd of hostile wolves. He felt their hatred like heat from a fire. He stopped in front of the emperor and tried not to collapse. "My daughters have chosen you," the emperor said. "Do you understand what this means?" "No, sir," admitted. "I really do not." The emperor almost smiled. "Almost. It means you will compete in the mating trials. You will face challenges of strength, courage, and wisdom. If you pass, you will marry one of my daughters. If you fail, you will die." Dai's voice cracked. "The trials are dangerous. Many wolves have died in them over the centuries. A human has never attempted them before. Your chances of survival are very small." Looked at the three princesses, was watching him with curious eyes, was watching him with hungry eyes, was watching him with worried eyes. "Can I refuse?" he asked. "Yes," the emperor said, "you can refuse. But then my daughters will be forced to choose other mates, and they will lose honor for choosing poorly. Is that what you want?" Thought about who had protected him on his first day. He thought about who had saved him from. He thought about crying in the garden while her mother's voice played. He did not love them. He barely knew them. But they had shown him kindness when no one else had. He could not repay that kindness with shame. I accept, he said. The Emperor nodded slowly. Brave or foolish, we will see which one. The rest of the day was chaos. Was taken to new quarters, separate from the other recruits. He was given new clothes, new food, and new guards. He was no longer just a recruit. He was a candidate for the royal family. But he was also a target. The other wolves made no secret of their hatred. They whispered threats as he passed. They promised to kill him during the trials. They said humans had no place in wolf society. Tried to stay calm, he failed. That night someone knocked on his door. He opened it carefully. All three princesses stood outside. We need to talk, said. They came inside without waiting for permission, closed the door behind them, checked the room for spies. You are scared, said Tu. I can smell it. Yes, said. I am terrified. Good, said. Only fools feel no fear. They sat down together. The room was small and the princesses were large, felt surrounded. Why did you choose me? He asked. All three of you. There are thousands of wolves who are stronger, faster, better. Why me? The princesses looked at each other. Some silent communication passed between them. Because you are different, said finally. We have spent our whole lives surrounded by wolves who only see our titles. They do not see us. They see power. They see connections to our father. They see opportunity. But you see something else, added softly. When you fixed my mother's music player, you did not ask for anything in return. You just wanted to help. When I protected you from, you did not grovel or beg, said. You did not try to use me. You just said thank you and moved on. We want someone real, concluded. Someone who sees us as people, not prizes. Is that so strange? Was quiet for a long moment. I still do not understand, he said. You are beautiful, powerful, royal. I am none of those things. This does not make sense. Princess reached out and touched his hand. Her fur was soft and warm. Maybe love does not have to make sense, she said. Looked at her, then at. Three wolf princesses. Three sets of eyes filled with something he had never seen before, something he did not know how to name. The trials start tomorrow, said. You will not survive without help. We are going to train you tonight, added with a grin. I hope you are ready to suffer. Took a deep breath. He was not ready. He would never be ready. But he was going to try anyway. The first trial was strength. Failed. He could not lift the sacred stone. He could not carry the weighted chains. He finished last among all the candidates by a wide margin. The second trial was speed. Failed again. He ran until his lungs burned and his legs collapsed. He still finished minutes behind the slowest wolf. The wolves laughed at him. They called him names. They said the princesses had made fools of themselves by choosing such a weak mate. But the third trial was wisdom, and wisdom was different. The candidates were taken to a room filled with puzzles. There were mechanical locks, coded messages, and traps that needed to be disarmed. Each puzzle had to be solved within a time limit. The wolves struggled. They were warriors, not thinkers. They smashed locks instead of picking them. They triggered traps instead of avoiding them. One by one, they failed. Did not fail. He moved through the room with calm focus. He studied each puzzle carefully. He found patterns that others missed. He solved problems that wolves had been unable to crack for generations. When the time ran out, he was the only candidate still standing. The Emperor watched from his throne. His red eyes showed no emotion, but his ears twitched slightly. That was the closest thing to surprise he ever showed. The human passed the trial of wisdom, the official announcer declared. He advances to the final challenge. The final challenge was survival. All remaining candidates would be sent into the Blackwood Forest for 7 days. They could hunt, fight, and sabotage each other. The last one standing would win. Knew he could not win a fight against any of them. He knew he could not outrun them or overpower them. He needed a different strategy. On the morning of the final challenge, The princesses came to see him. "You cannot go out there alone," said. Her voice was tight with worry. "They will kill you on the first day." "I know," said. "That is why I will not be alone." The princesses looked confused. "I made some friends," explained. "Or at least I made some people who owe me favors." He had spent weeks fixing things for the other wolves. Communication devices, weapons, training equipment. He had never asked for payment. He had never demanded anything in return. But favors were like seeds. Plant enough of them and eventually they grow. The challenge began at dawn. 20 candidates entered the forest. They split up immediately, hunting for each other like predators seeking prey. Did not hunt, he ran. He ran to a valley he had found during his first survival test. He ran to the stream, to the lake, to the old beacon he had fixed. He knew this territory. He had learned every rock and every tree. 3 wolves followed him. They were the fastest candidates, chosen by noble families to eliminate the human quickly. Was ready for them. He had spent the previous night planting traps. Simple traps made from vines and rocks, designed by human hands for human purposes. The wolves did not see them coming. The first wolf stepped into a snare and was yanked into the air by his ankle. He hung upside down, howling with rage. The second wolf triggered a falling log that knocked him unconscious. The third wolf was smarter. He moved carefully, avoiding obvious traps. He found by the lake and cornered him against the water. "Clever tricks," the wolf growled, "but tricks will not save you now." He lunged. Something massive crashed through the trees and tackled the wolf. It was the brown-furred wolf who had abandoned during the first survival test. "You said you do not like losing," grunted as he pinned the other wolf down. "Neither do I consider my debt paid." 2 more wolves emerged from the forest. They were recruits had helped during training. They formed a protective circle around him. "We are not going to fight the whole challenge for you," one of them said, "but we can give you a head start." Nodded gratefully. He ran deeper into the forest while his allies held the line. For 7 days he survived. He avoided fights. He set traps. He hid in places that larger wolves could not reach. He ate insects and plants while others starved looking for meat. One by one, the other candidates fell. Some were eliminated by each other. Some were eliminated by their own exhaustion. Some were eliminated by traps. On the final day, only 2 candidates remained, and a massive gray wolf named Vex. Vex was the strongest wolf in the competition. He had defeated 5 other candidates with his bare hands. He was the favorite to win. He found at dawn by the lake. "End of the line, human," Vex said. "Your tricks will not work on me. I have been watching. I know all your traps." Stood very still. "Then I guess this is it." Vex smiled with all his teeth. "Any last words?" "Just one question," pushed up his glasses. "Do you know how to swim?" Vex looked confused. "What?" Threw himself backward into the lake. The water was cold and deep. Was not a strong swimmer, but he was better than most wolves. Wolf bodies were heavy with muscle. They sank like stones. Vex jumped in after him. Vex sank, swam to the other side of the lake, and pulled himself onto the shore. He lay there gasping for breath while Vex struggled in the water. "Help!" Vex screamed. "I cannot." Could have let him drown. It would have been easy. It would have been fair. He did not let him drown. He threw a vine across the water. Vex grabbed it and pulled with all his strength. Slowly, painfully, he dragged the massive wolf to safety. Vex collapsed on the shore beside him. They both lay there for a long time, breathing hard. "You saved me," Vex said finally. "Why?" "Because I am not a killer," said. "I never wanted to be." Vex was silent. Then he did something no one expected. He laughed. "You win, human," Vex said. "I surrender. I cannot beat someone who defeats me and then saves my life. What would I even do with that victory?" The emergency signal went up. The challenge was over. When the transport ship arrived, was taken back to the base as a hero. The whole division was waiting for him. Wolves who had mocked him now cheered his name. Wolves who had threatened him now bowed their heads in respect. The Emperor stood at the front of the crowd. His face was still like stone, but there was something different in his eyes, something that might have been approval. "You have passed the trials," the Emperor said. "You have proven your worth. Now you must make your choice." The three princesses stepped forward. Each of them looked at with hope in their eyes. "Choose your mate," the Emperor commanded, "the one you wish to marry." Looked at them. Three beautiful, powerful, kind-hearted princesses who had seen something in him that no one else had seen. Three women who had risked their honor by choosing a human nobody. How could he choose just one? He took a deep breath. "With respect, Your Majesty," said, "I have read the ancient laws of the Empire. The laws say that a princess must choose her mate, but they do not say that a mate can only marry one princess." The crowd went silent. "In fact," continued, "there is a tradition from 3,000 years ago. When multiple princesses choose the same mate, they can share him. The tradition was abandoned because no one ever survived the trials while holding the interest of multiple princesses, but it was never removed from the law." The Emperor stared at him. "You read our ancient laws." "I read everything. It is what I do." The silence stretched on. Then the Emperor did something that no one had ever seen before. He smiled. "Clever," the Emperor said, "very clever." He looked at his daughters. "Do you agree to share this mate?" The three princesses looked at each other. Another silent conversation passed between them. "We agree," they said together. The crowd erupted into cheers and howls. Some wolves still looked unhappy, but most of them had accepted the impossible truth. The skinny human nerd had won. He had won everything. Felt arms wrap around him from three directions, and held him tight, their warm fur soft against his skin. "You are trouble," whispered in his ear. "The best kind of trouble," added. "Our trouble finished." Smiled. He had joined the Beast Division by mistake. He had been the weakest person in the entire program. He had faced challenges that should have killed him 100 times over. And now he was going to marry three princesses. Life was strange sometimes, but maybe strange was not so bad. Maybe strange was exactly what he needed.